The morning began quietly. The sun warmed the grass as it rose up to the sky. Chicken Little stood under the old oak tree, watching the sky light up. Her feathers puffed in the breeze, lazily. She had no plans except to enjoy the day. All of a sudden, an acorn struck her head. It bounced off her forehead and rolled to her feet. The sharp tap startled her. She looked up at the clouds. She thought the sky had cracked. So, she ran toward the road, wings half open, calling out for help. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. Chicken Little shouted everywhere. Her small voice carried across the meadow. Henny Penny heard her first. Henny Penny was pecking grain near the fence. She lifted her head as crumbs fell from her beak. Chicken Little ran up, panting, trying to catch her breath. "What do you mean the sky is falling?" Henny Penny asked in surprise. "This morning I was sitting under a tree when a piece of the sky fell and hit me on my head." Chicken Little explained to Henny Penny. "A piece of the sky fell on your head?" Henny Penny asked. "We must tell the king what just happened." So Henny Penny followed behind Chicken Little on the way to see the king. As Chicken Little and Henny Penny wandered past the pond, Ducky Lucky was swimming lazy circles in the water. The ripples reached the edge where Chicken Little stood shouting, "The sky is falling. The sky is falling." Ducky Lucky quacked in alarm. "What is going on here?" "The sky is falling," Chicken Little exclaimed to Ducky Lucky. A piece of the sky fell on Chicken Little's head, Henny Penny said to Ducky Lucky. "Oh dear, we must go to tell the king," Ducky Lucky quacked. And so Ducky Lucky waddled after Henny Penny, who followed Chicken Little to go tell the king. A few moments later, they ran into Goosey Lucy in the tall grass plains. "The sky is falling. The sky is falling," Chicken Little warned Goosey Lucy. Goosey Lucy had been trimming grass near the path. She spread her wings and fell in step. "The sky? Do you mean the big blue sky up there?" Goosey Lucy asked with her long neck pointed up high to the sky. "Yes, yes, the sky is falling. The sky is falling," Chicken Little repeated herself. A piece of it fell and hit Chicken Little's head, Henny Penny told Goosey Lucy. "And we are off to tell the king what is happening," Ducky Lucky told Goosey Lucy. "This is very important news," Goosey Lucy exclaimed. So Goosey Lucy followed Ducky Lucky, who followed Henny Penny, who followed Chicken Little as they continued their journey to go find the king. Last of all, they passed Turkey Lurkey strutting by the barn. Turkey Lurkey's feathers were puffed and proud as he walked gracefully, until Chicken Little nearly ran right into Turkey Lurkey's puffed-out chest. "Excuse me, Turkey Lurkey. The sky is falling. The sky is falling," Chicken Little exclaimed to Turkey Lurkey. A piece of the sky hit Chicken Little on the head. Henny Penny said to Turkey Lurkey, "We are on our way to tell the king," Ducky Lucky quacked. "It is very important news," Goosey Lucy stated to Turkey Lurkey. "Oh my," Turkey Lurkey said pridefully as he puffed out his chest. "He will listen to me. I will go with you to tell the king of this news." And so Turkey Lurkey strutted after Goosey Lucy, who followed behind Ducky Lucky, who waddled behind Henny Penny, who was behind Chicken Little, who was on their way to go tell the king. 5 birds. 1 small panic. The road stretched toward the woods. They said they would tell the king. He would know what to do. They reached the forest edge. Shadows cut across the path. Foxy Loxy waited by a cluster of rocks as the birds walked by. He smiled wide enough to show teeth, yet his voice sounded smooth. "Hello there," Foxy Loxy said to the birds. "Hello. The sky is falling," Chicken Little exclaimed to Foxy Loxy. A piece of it hit her head. Henny Penny shouted. "We are on our way to the king," Ducky Lucky explained. "He must know about this news," Goosey Lucy said. "I am going to tell him what is happening," Turkey Lurkey proudly said. "Is that so?" Foxy Loxy grinned from ear to ear. Foxy Loxy listened and nodded as the birds explained how this could all be. Foxy Loxy told the birds the king was waiting beyond the hill. Foxy Loxy offered to lead them through a short tunnel. The birds felt relief. The ground sloped downward. The cave entrance was dark and cold. Foxy Loxy walked into the darkness. "Follow me. This way to the king." Foxy Loxy appeared nice. So Henny Penny went first. Henny Penny followed Foxy Loxy into the cave. Henny Penny peeped once, softly. Foxy Loxy turned around quickly with an evil look on his face. Foxy Loxy's jaws started to open wide. The sound was a deep gulp. Henny Penny slid past Foxy Loxy's teeth. Henny Penny's wings started to flutter quickly, then slowed to silence. Henny Penny's warm body weight filled Foxy Loxy's stomach. Foxy Loxy's tongue caught a last feather before he licked his muzzle clean with his long tongue. Foxy Loxy thought of how small birds tasted simple, like morning grain. Next was Ducky Lucky. Ducky Lucky saw Henny Penny walk into the cave without a problem. So Ducky Lucky followed downward into the darkness. Foxy Loxy spoke gentle words to keep Ducky Lucky calm. Ducky Lucky waddled in as his feet splashed in a shallow puddle. When Ducky Lucky turned toward the sound, it was already too late. Foxy Loxy's throat stretched open. A gurgle echoed in the stone cave. Foxy Loxy swallowed slow this time, enjoying Ducky Lucky's body shape pressing against his neck. A bulge of feathers made its way down Foxy Loxy's throat and into the stomach. Foxy Loxy liked the cool slide of Ducky Lucky's wet feathers. Next, Goosey Lucy followed, unaware of what just happened to Ducky Lucky and Henny Penny. Goosey Lucy's steps were bold, but her eyes were worried. Foxy Loxy smiled again. His voice sounded like a friend's, so Goosey Lucy walked closer. Then Foxy Loxy struck. Foxy Loxy's teeth closed over Goosey Lucy's neck and back in one smooth motion. Goosey Lucy kicked her Goosey Lucy feet once, then twice, then stillness. Foxy Loxy licked his lips, pleased with the weight that filled his belly once more. Turkey Lurkey came last before Chicken Little. Foxy Loxy's belly was so huge it moved in slow waves now. Foxy Loxy spoke softly again through the darkness, hinting at a darker room ahead. "Come on now," Foxy Loxy said to Turkey Lurkey. Turkey Lurkey was a big bird, but Turkey Lurkey obeyed Foxy Loxy. As Turkey Lurkey stepped a few more steps into the darkness, Foxy Loxy's sharp fangs dug into Turkey Lurkey's puffed-out chest. Turkey Lurkey's size made the meal harder to swallow for Fox Loxy. So Foxy Loxy's throat bulged as he worked to swallow. The noise was wet and heavy as Foxy Loxy struggled to get Turkey Lurkey down his throat. When the last tail feather vanished, Foxy Loxy leaned against the wall, panting and sweating, but very content with his meal so far. Foxy Loxy's tummy rippled with movement as Foxy Loxy let out a big burp. Foxy Loxy covered his mouth with both his paws as he burped to stop the sound coming from his mouth. Foxy Loxy knew he had one more bird to swallow. He smiled to himself. Chicken Little, the tastiest one of all. Only Chicken Little remained. Chicken Little stepped near the cave entrance. Chicken Little heard sounds inside. Muffled gulps. Shifting feathers. Chicken Little even thought she heard burping sounds. A strange smell filled the air. It smelled like stomach digestion fluids. Chicken Little took a step forward when she was reminded of her mother's words when Chicken Little was growing up. Foxes are clever. Foxes used kindness to hide their sharp fangs. The unusual sounds coming from the cave reminded Chicken Little of another thought. The acorn. The morning. The sky had not fallen at all. Chicken Little realized her mistake. Chicken Little's feathers bristled. The fear turned to shame, then to anger. Chicken Little saw Foxy Loxy waiting for her in the darkness. A flicker of light shined over Foxy Loxy's giant belly for a moment. Foxy Loxy's belly moved as if full of small waves. Foxy Loxy smiled again as he called for Chicken Little to come into the cave. Foxy Loxy thought Chicken Little was another easy meal. Chicken Little stepped a little closer to get a better look at Foxy Loxy. Chicken Little waited until Foxy Loxy opened his mouth to greet Chicken Little. Then, Chicken Little turned and flicked her tail feathers across Foxy Loxy's nose. Foxy Loxy jerked backward. A snort escaped Foxy Loxy's nose. Foxy Loxy's whiskers twitched. Chicken Little struck again, sweeping her feathers across Foxy Loxy's muzzle. Foxy Loxy coughed and laughed out loud. Foxy Loxy's voice cracked between gasps and giggles. Foxy Loxy's sides shook and his stomach churned with laughter. Chicken Little kept going. Chicken Little climbed on a Foxy Loxy's back and danced with her tail flicking side to side. The tickling ran through Foxy Loxy's fur. Foxy Loxy rolled on the ground, laughing louder and more hysterically. The sound filled the cave. Foxy Loxy's laughter turned to snorts. Each breath forced Foxy Loxy's throat tighter. Foxy Loxy's nose wrinkled with pleasurable but irritating tickles. Then, a sharp sneeze shot through Foxy Loxy's whole body. A feather burst out. Then another. Foxy Loxy sneezed again. Out flew Henny Penny, covered in spit but alive. Henny Penny gasped and ran to the wall. Another big loud sneeze followed. All of a sudden, Ducky Lucky tumbled out, dizzy but safe. Then Goosey Lucy. Then Turkey Lurkey, both coughing and shaking. Foxy Loxy wheezed, weak from laughter now. Tears lined Foxy Loxy's eyes as he tried to contain his composure. Foxy Loxy tried to speak, but only laughter came out. Foxy Loxy's tail slapped the dirt. Chicken Little stopped the tickling at once. Chicken Little stood tall, breathing hard. Chicken Little's friends gathered behind her. Chicken Little looked at her friends. All the birds were covered in mud that clung to their feathers. The birds were tired, but they were alive. Chicken Little spoke quietly as she apologized to her friends. Chicken Little told them about the acorn, and about Chicken Little's mistake, and about Chicken Little's fear. They listened. Then they forgave Chicken Little. They walked home in silence for a while. The sun started to set, and the air started to cool. At the edge of the meadow, Henny Penny smiled and said they would still visit tomorrow. Ducky Lucky quacked softly, nodding. Goosey Lucy stretched her wings and promised to bring seeds. Turkey Lurkey ruffled his feathers, saying nothing but staying close. Chicken Little stood beneath the oak again. A single acorn fell near her feet. She looked at it and laughed. The sky stayed where it belonged.